Sometimes I feel like a casserole that's trying to be another dish. Hello and welcome everyone. Today we're playing Hypixel build battle. And I noticed something about my last recording, and that is that I sit on a metal folding chair, right? So every time I move my body the smallest inch, it makes a creaking noise. So right now I am laying on the floor with blankets all around my microphone because I don't have a recording booth. I'm just trying to make some quality of the audio. And also, another problem I had was that my computer sounds like an airplane engine, so I try to distance myself as much as I can. So hopefully those errors don't show up in this video. Recently, my mom made a pot pie casserole. This is not a chicken pot pie, mind you. I have to be very specific with that. This is not a chicken pot pie. It is a dish she made that was supposed to be like a chicken pot pie, but it wasn't. It was a crockpot casserole, as I like to call them, because casseroles and crockpots are synonymous in my mind, even though the products are different. This meal was highly disappointing. Not to be mean to my mother, she's a very nice person, but it left a lot to be desired. This chicken pot pie casserole wasn't the first instance we've had of a mimic food in our house. We also have this thing called taco casserole, which is like all the white people taco ingredients put together into a dish with Doritos, and it all gets baked in the oven and the lettuce becomes all soggy, and like, it's okay. I mean, it's edible, but I'd rather have tacos. And like, we also have this lasagna casserole, which is kind of like lasagna, but instead of, the good stuff with the lasagna, like, it's just ravioli. The biggest problem with casseroles is that they dumb down established flavors. Like with a taco casserole, there's none of the sourness that is inherent in a lot of Mexican food. It's all just taco meat. They just grab a seasoning container of chili powder and dump it in there and say, this will taste good. Time to enjoy this. Well, newsflash. A bunch of chili powder is not very enjoyable. I find the same exact problem with quote-unquote tacos, which we just get beef, put Mexican seasoning, which is just a stereotyped version of Mexican cuisine. They just put essence of Mexican into a seasoning packet and then throw it on a bunch of beef. And they say, now enjoy, white people, you'll like this. And then we eat it up. Like, we're the problem. But I do get that this is not a uniquely American issue. Like, have you ever seen pizzas from Argentina? Like, I doubt that the Argentinians have a great and strong desire to eat their tortilla with pizza sauce and mozzarella cheese on it. Just like how I have no real desire to eat whatever mushy casserole comes out of the crock pot. Like, I'm sorry. Here's my hot take of the day. Whenever I see a crock pot on the stove, I just get disappointed. Like, come on, I'd much rather have just like roast beef. If you like crock pots, you must be from Ohio. It's just saying the truth. I'm just saying the truth here, okay? I think that crock pots dumb down the established flavors of meals, or just dumb down the flavors of foods in general, and just make a blander experience. I mean, except for stovetop. Have you ever had stovetop? That stuff is wonderful. Never diss that. I will come after you if you diss stovetop. And I was thinking about casseroles and crockpots, and I realized that they are the greatest analog for American and Western societies, like, in existence. Western civilizations have been stealing artifacts from countries for years. Just think about the English. They got their boats, and they sailed their boats down to Egypt, and they scoured through all the temples, stealing every artifact they could, leaving only the pyramids because they couldn't fit the dang pyramids on their boats. I'll tell you, if the English had pyramid-sized boats, there would have been a pyramid in England. There would have been none left in Egypt. And this idea continued to thrive on even into the 1980s with Indiana Jones. Like, him going to temples and saying, this belongs in a museum, while stealing artifacts. Like, number one, Indiana, you probably cursed the entire village for a generation, because you can't just move that stuff around. That's how vampires get out. And number two, no, that's not yours. It's not for people to enjoy. It's probably It's probably left by people to respect the dead, and you just desecrated the greats. Congratulations, Indiana Jones, you're now a felon. Western civilization have not only stolen artifacts, they have also stolen food, especially with the spice trade going down, stealing foods and cuisines from Southeast Asia and India, and then they bring these spices back to Europe. And get this, they don't use them. Like the English sailed to India. India is a land with wonderful cuisine and a lot of spices. They go back home and they say, actually, we don't like spices because the inherent flavor of the food should be enough to make a good tasting meal. Like, no, it's not. There's a reason why we put spices on food, English. Yeah, but the U.S. is different from Europe, though. Like, Europe steals ideas, but the U.S. kind of incorporates them naturally through immigration. A bunch of people will immigrate into the U.S., bringing their own cultural ideas, creating, as the elementary school optimistically puts it, a mixing pot of cultures, a melting pot, perhaps. But the problem with the melting pot is not that it's making a beautiful soup. This melting pot of different cultures is melting a SpongeBob popsicle, turning it all into an orange mess with the eyeballs just in the butt. The culture has been bastardized. But how does this bastardization happen? I hope I didn't get demonetized with that. Well, what happens in America is that some traditions are celebrated like locally, and then you got the corporations out here listening and saying, "Ooh, that's a good idea. How can I turn this commercial?" Like there was a few like European people mentioning a old saint who would go around giving out small gifts, and Coca-Cola thought to themselves, how can I turn this into a profit? So they created the idea of Santa Claus to sell more Coca-Cola, therefore dumbing down the traditions of Christmas. And the corporations have gained so much control over Christmas that the holiday is no longer about the roots of the holiday, which is the birth of Jesus. It's now about giving as many gifts as you can to your needy children. Giving all of your hard-earned cash to Uncle Sam's little buds, making them really rich before they give all their money back to Uncle Sam so that they can get political favor. We've lost the ideas of holidays because of corporatism. I think the worst offender is Thanksgiving, which is really just the day before Black Friday at this point. The corporation said, we have this holiday where everyone is thankful for what they have, so I have an idea how to turn a profit. You know how Christmas time's soon? Well, let's bring out the greed of the American population and turn the next day into a shopping frenzy. I'm sorry, Americans. You may be thankful for what you have, but you could have more. And the meaning of holidays and traditions are lost because of this. Americans are incredible at dumbing down holidays and traditions and cultures and creating them into a large mass product that can be sold and profited off of by a few billionaires while everyone else is just pulled into the tradition because that's all they ever knew, completely destroying the roots of every tradition possible. That I feel like casseroles are a microcosm of American cultural appropriation. They turn traditional products, especially the mock casseroles, they turn traditional and cultural products into mass consumable products. Casseroles aren't an art form. They are meant for consumption. They're meant for a nutrient. That's how my mom defends them. She says, oh, it's good nutrients. You should just eat it. It's meant to fill our stomachs, not fill our lives. They are empty and worthless. Except stovetop. I love stovetop. That's all I got for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this small rant about casseroles. This is all inspired by, as you probably could tell, a pot pie mimic casserole that had way too much onion in it. It was barely eatable. I emptied my plate into the sink. Sorry. I try to eat it all because I'm not a terrible person. I'm always thinking about the kids in Africa, but I just couldn't. So I just dumped it down the drain. I feel kind of bad about it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. See you next time, and goodbye.